Thank you, Haley, and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joe Pietruniak, and myself and along with my colleague Paraman, he looks he's got his camera turned off right now. We're going to go over Sage Intacct and um, some of the tips and tricks that you might have forgotten about, and also give you a very quick overview in regards to what's new that came out in Sage Intacct 2020 Release 4, which happened last Sunday. So if I just want to confirm, if you could see my screen, Paraman, you give me a thumbs up. Great. So why is this not advancing? 1 second here. Once again, my name is Joe Pietruniak, and Paraman will be assisting me on this demo. So on this conversation. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to put them in the chat on your screens. So today's session, a review of some of the features and new releases, and some of the tips and tricks, and some of the things you might have forgotten if you've been using Sage Intacct for a while. Did you know that Sage Intacct does have keyboards, keyboard shortcuts, where you don't really necessarily have to point and click. You can just use a keyboard if you're used to that. So if you're on a date field, here are some of the keyboard shortcuts to change that day of the week, day of the month. You could increment your day up and down. Or if you want to change your month, here are some other ones in regards to changing your month and year. Also, if you are on an amount field, if you're keying in a dollar amount and you would like to do a quick calculation, you do have the option of using the built-in calculator in Sage Intacct. All you need to do is press one of the operators, the plus, minus, the star, or the division sign, and a calculator tape will show up just above that, and you'll be able to do your calculations, hit enter, and that dollar amount will get keyed in into the field. If you do need more information, you could go to the help screen and while you're signed in and look up keyboard shortcuts, and you'll get a whole list of all of them. A few other tips and tricks that are sometimes annoying when you are signing in. You do sign into that default homepage, which shows you all the information in regards to releases and all that. But if you wanted to specifically go into a specific page, if you want to go into, maybe say you want to go into the general ledger, or maybe you want to see a specific dashboard when you sign in, all you need to do is right-click on your name, go down to My Preferences, scroll down to the Display section, and change your start page. You could change it from your default, and then you could pick one of the multitudes of different start pages as you go along. Also, if you are tired of having to scroll through the multiple pages of screens and records on your screen to get down to your 999th record, all you could do is also on the same page, scroll down to personalize page defaults, and then you could, and my recommendation, and it's a good practice to set all these to the maximum. So records per page, 999, items per page, the drop down, items per drop down, and of course the one that's really good is a transaction tables, rows per page, maximize it out. So if you do have a big, huge, long journal entry, you could see that whole journal entry on one screen just by scrolling up and down. As I mentioned earlier, release 4 came out on Sunday this year, a few days later than usual. Usually comes out on a Friday. This year it came out on a Sunday, and just wanted to go over a few of the release notes that have come up and highlight some of the new items that have been produced. So as you can see, when you do sign on, unless you're signing on to your own personalized homepage, this is the page that you would sign on to your screen, and you do have a whole multitude of information on here of what is being released, and you can also see the release notes. What we're going to go through in the next few slides is a few of those new releases. One, if you were listening to David Rumor, there in regards to the AI, we do have this GL outlier detection system based on AI and machine learning. It'll help to ensure that the accuracy and integrity of financial information. The GL outlier detection uses your historical transaction patterns, evaluates transactions during the approval cycle, and notifies approvers of transactions that don't match your regular pattern. So you can see in here in this particular example, this combination of account, department, and location is unusual, and it will highlight it. So when whoever is being approving this transaction, it'll actually pop up as a warning on that page. Next, moving on to bank and credit cards information on the checking accounts. Now we do have some mandatory fields that you must key in when you are setting up new checking accounts, credit cards. The GL account is now a mandatory field. The currency and the location is also mandatory. Once this prevents reconciliation errors and enables controllers to view consistent data across time. Once these fields are editable only until a transaction is posted to it. So once the transaction is posted at GL account, these fields are no longer editable. Also on the sticking to the cash management side on the credit card, they have also now removed the need to put in the credit card number. However, the expiry date still is a mandatory. So no longer to have to key in your credit card number when you're setting up a credit card transaction. Also, if you were using bank feeds to download bank transactions from whichever financial institution you are using, you are now able to link multiple accounts onto one feed. What this will actually allow you to do is to share that connection. So if you have multiple accounts with the same bank financial institution, you could actually download all those transactions for all the accounts with one single sign-on, as opposed to going to each one individually. The accounts receivable side, the received payments has received a makeover. Now a new input screen. You'll able to see all your credits and apply them accordingly. You can now search by invoice number, search by customer, by invoice date, create filter sets to find out where to post that receipt accordingly. Those of you who email or use accounts receivable, email their invoices and statements from accounts receivable, now the custom email templates are available to you as well. Just like an order entry, you're able to customize what the email that is being sent to your client in regards to that document that's being attached. Also, if you are using accounts payable approval process, what is available, you get more flexible, streamlined workflows in approving bills. Instead of declining bills for required modifications, you can now modify bills on the fly during the approval time. So you are now able to edit, the approver is now able to edit that transaction prior to approving. It doesn't have, no longer need to decline it, resubmit and have it resubmitted. If you're using inventory control, Sage Intacct has now introduced cycle counts, so you could actually create your inventory counts and record them and adjust your inventory as the count goes on. So this is something new that's just been introduced. For those who are using the contract module, a few little enhancements to that module as well. The first one, you'll be able to now invoice by customer as opposed to the contract or project. Allow invoicing by customer. It will now allow you to invoice all the contract line items for a customer. So if a customer has multiple contracts with you and different items, you can now just invoice that customer directly for all items on each and every single contract. Another release enhancement to the contract module is a prorated monthly monthly payment billing. So if your contract starts in the middle of the month, but you want to start billing at the beginning of each month, you could still do a prorated billing halfway through that month, or at whatever interval before the next month end starts. Also, with IFRS 15 and AS 606 being adopted and everybody using it, we are now able to enable or disable that secondary journal that we were posting to. So you no longer need to post to your legacy journals with your legacy revenue and expense recognition. We can now turn that off and disable it so that you no longer need to process to there. Not sure how many of you have used the idea section in the community, but here are a few enhancements to that based on those ideas that are coming up. We are now able to create non-posting dimensions. So if you do have a parent-child relationship on a dimension and you don't want to have anybody posting to the parent dimension, you can now create that status as active non-posting. So the options in that status are inactive, active, or active non-posting. You still get the reporting capabilities, and you still get the roll-ups based on the parent-child relationships. Another idea that came out that was released from the ideas is when you are looking at your financial statements, you can now freeze your first column. So when you're scrolling across, if you got a wide column, wide report, and you're scrolling across the columns, that first column will always stay there. So your ideas are reviewed all the time. So if you do have an idea, any enhancements that you would like to Sage Intacct to improve on, definitely post your ideas in the idea section in the community, and they do get looked at. For more information, you could always go to your to look at the release notes in by clicking on the release notes, and you could see video highlights and get more information on all the other release enhancements. One new one that is coming up is the Interactive Visual Explorer, which gets you faster insight to inform business decisions. The Interactive Visual Explorer is built on top of real-time operational system of record with the same security and access control mechanisms. The tool is highly visual, interactive, making it possible to explore and ask questions of the data. So if you're looking at something to dig deeper into your data, that might be an opportunity for you as well. So if you're looking for any assistance in implementing any of these changes, or see how they are working and how does it affect you, or if you need to subscribe to some of the new features that have been released, please contact your account manager. So we'll open up for any questions. Haley?
Thank you so much for that, Joe. So just as a reminder, you can use the GoToWebinar question panel. I did get a few over the presentation, so I will start with those, but if there are any more that are coming in, feel free to add them. So the first one is, how are upgrades done in Intacct?
Intacct upgrades are done 4 times a year. Release 1, 2, 3, and 4. They believe they're done quarterly, starting, I believe, in February of each year, and they are automatic. So you don't need to back up your data. You don't need to do anything. You log off on a Friday in release 1, and when you log in on Monday, you are using the latest and greatest version of the software. So no downtime for you at all.
That's really good to know. Another question we have is, if I ever lose my internet connection, do I lose, or will my data be lost or corrupted?
No, it won't. Sage Intacct does back up very, very frequently, and the only thing that you might lose is your last transaction that you were posting. So no data corruption at all.
Another question we have is, can you make an entity non-posting as well?
No, you can't. The entity is the only one item that is not available for that non-active non-posting. It applies, that feature applies to all the other entities though.
Okay. So I do hope that answers all the questions that have come in. If for whatever reason you have any lingering questions, there will be a final Q&A at the end of today, as well as in the survey that will be sent out, there is an option to ask for additional information and ask questions there. So with that, I'd like to say thank you so much to Joe for presenting. We will be taking a short break. We will rejoin at 1:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the next session, which is Customers for Life, Community Knowledge-Based and Training videos on this track. Or if you're looking for more information about the benefits of cloud-based financial management systems, you can head over to track 1. So thank you very much, and we'll see you all back at 1:05.